it's a lot that what's happening right now, and it's overwhelming, and it's just trying to navigate this and saying the right things so you don't trigger certain people or, you know, their thought process, because you don't want to close off people.
Right.
I feel like right now it's really important not to do that, to shut people out. I feel like it's important to listen to different sides of it, but that comes with also hoping that that person that you're listening to is willing to listen to your side too.
Out west where the sun always beams bright, Midland skies keep the hustle in sight. BAM Consultants got the blueprint intact. For dreamers on the grind, they got your back. Championing dreams from the ground to supreme, providing that spark, igniting the team. Marketing flow strategies that glean. BAM in Midland, building your dream. They teach the
Bam. Hey, Miss Itzel, how you doing?
Hi, Angel. I'm doing good. How about you?
Man, doing fantastic. Yeah.
Love to hear it.
Yeah. So this is special, you know, because we did something similar to this many years ago.
Yeah, I was literally just thinking that.
Right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, with the audio and video and talking to the people.
Yeah, taking it back to Falcon Radio.
My Falcon Radio. Yeah, UTPB. Those are some good times, good days.
Yes, they were.
Yeah, yeah. So it's great to have you in the studio, and you know, you're doing some important work, and people need to hear about it. I'm going to go on a little diatribe here, because what we're experiencing as a collective, right? It's been a while since so much change has gone on all at once, right?
Yeah.
Like there's always change happening. Evolution, for one, it's not gradual. It happens in chunks, right? It's chunks, right? Stalls out for a little bit and then a huge chunk, right? And that's what we're experiencing right now. We're experiencing, I believe, a shakeup of what we understand was a comfort to a lot of us, because we built system around everything to make everything nice and comfortable. And that system is kind of crumbling in front of our face right now. And it's scary to a lot of people. And, you know, what do, especially when it comes to like our younger generation, who are really literally going to inherit whatever we leave to them, you know? Mm-hmm. And it's in a young person's heart to, well, that's, we can change that, right? And I think bringing light onto that is power in itself, right? Because it takes a power to make change and to be comfortable as a human, you know? Yeah. There's a lot to that, right? Because I know there's no comfort. Life is suffering, right? But I think that there's always a way to find peace in the storm. I don't know why I went through all of that right there.
No, I mean, I completely understand where you're coming from, and I agree. There has been a major shift, especially within the last year itself. I think there's a lot of people who already felt like maybe the system didn't work for them, or maybe it didn't matter whether or not they put some kind of input out there, that are getting proved right in a way. But also, it's like you said, the younger generation has always been the voice of change throughout the years, whether it was 30 years ago, 60 years ago, 100 years ago. There's always been a group of people who were willing to talk about the situation at hand and bring those issues to light so that more people would be aware and maybe willing to make that change within themselves. We had that conversation earlier.
Yeah. You know, and people like, okay, we learn by storytelling, right? We have for thousands of years, right? We learn by stories that are told to us. So now, even in marketing, the best marketing is not, hey, look at my product, it costs this much. Best marketing is, here's a story about you using this product, right? So that's kind of the best marketing. So, because that's like hardwired into us, you know? So if you leave people to be like in a neutral state, there's nothing that makes them go forward or pushes them back. Mm-hmm. Now, you know, there's nothing there. It's like, there's no excitement. It's like, yeah. But it takes examples, right, of all sides, you know, because we're kind of dancing in this harmony, you know, kind of just trying to vibe through life.
Yeah.
you know, and where's that balance for everybody, right? Everybody talks about work-life balance, and let's just take that as being the all-encompassing how coordinated am I navigating through life? If I fall, am I getting back up?
Yeah. And finding a balance and managing the chaos and the beauty that comes with it.
Yes, because it's going to be there, both sides, right? If all you see is one or the other, you're not seeing the whole picture,
Yes.
right?
100%.
I think that's like both doom and gloom, everything's going to hell, okay, World War III,
Yeah.
insanity, and, all negative, right? There's nothing but bad things happening in the world, right? And then there is the what we call the Pollyanna, where, oh, everything's fine, nothing's wrong, everything's perfect, right? Like, let's just get along. It's this very overly kind of optimistic, kind of delusional. Both sides are delusional.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
right?
you really do have to find that middle point where you're able to acknowledge the things that are happening in the outer world and know that, oh, this isn't normal. This probably shouldn't be happening. And it is scary, but there's also hope in it because you're seeing younger generations step up and be more vocal and be more involved in today's world.
Yeah.
Trying to make those changes in the system that they want to see, whether it's within themselves or trying to get other people to come to that realization that there is an in-between, and it's okay to be in that in-between, to be both aware and know that things hopefully
Yeah.
will be all right at the end of the day, one way or another. There's balance, and that's always been there, but it's just being able to find that.
Yes. I think that's very well said, right? Because, like, both are going to happen, right? So this was an analogy that I just came across not long earlier, today, actually. So, you know how a plane, I've heard this, the plane navigates, right? How a plane goes from point A to the other side of the world, point B, right?
Yeah.
So in our heads, that plane just goes, and it goes in a straight line, and then it lands, right? But what's actually happening is the plane takes off and it has to correct.
Yeah.
It's constantly course correcting, right? It overcorrects. Kind of like, when you drive, you just can't keep it still. You usually have to.
Yeah, you have to keep it straight. You have
Right.
to
And
move
if you're on
along.
a straight road,
Yeah.
you just got to make sure, there's always some sort of
Resistance.
Exactly. And that's what life is, right? We're going through resistance, and it's which side are we feeding? Like the old story with the wolves,
Yes.
right? There's a wolf that's just hungry, just wants everything, this is insatiable, right? It's it's the dark side. And then there's this other wolf that has the wisdom to know when to eat and when to do everything else, chill, and whatever wolves do, right?
Yeah.
But what to lead, right? To move, instead of just domineering, one-sided. There's this wisdom, right? Which one are you feeding? Are you feeding your primal instinct, which is needed and useful when it's the right time for it?
Yeah.
Or are you feeding growth, expansion, something better, right? There's a balance in there.
Yeah, I think you saying that just a second ago, saying when it's the right time for it, you need to be able to determine what side to feed depending on what's dealing with at that moment, what's occurring. Yeah. And so right now we're in these times where there's a lot of unpredictability happening within the US, and not just here in our country that we're seeing this, but other countries that are watching us and looking at us too and seeing what's happening. Because as we're living our day-to-day lives, going about things normally, there's other people who are not able to do that. And it's having the viewpoint or the ability to be able to see that and know that maybe it's...
I get it. It's a lot,
Yeah, it is a lot that what's happening right now, and it's overwhelming, and it's just trying to navigate this and saying the right things so you don't trigger certain people or, their thought process, because you don't want to close off people.
Right.
I feel like right now it's really important not to do that, to shut people out. I feel like it's important to listen to different sides of it, but that comes with also hoping that that person that you're listening to is willing to listen to your side too.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, 1,000%. You know, I think we've lost that. Right. And that part of, you know, the last decade, last 20, last 30, last 40, 50 years, you know, we've really lost a lot of that. And I know you pointed out the United States specifically because we are the empire of the day, right? We are the Rome of this modern era, right? You know, so no mistaking that at all, right? And like history kind of rhymes with itself. Right?
Yeah.
This specifically about the United States, that this is the rise and fall of Rome, right? We're seeing the destruction of our systems that were protecting us, you know, and keeping it together somewhat. There's always been insane, you know, underworld battles that we know nothing about,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
But for the last couple hundred years, it's mainly stayed intact and actually improved over time, you know? And I think we can really trace, I trace like the crossing, you know, the Rubicon.
Yeah.
I think, you know, that's when they killed Kennedy,
Yeah.
you know, because after they killed Kennedy, they popped off all of our activists, you know, popular activists, all of them dead, right? Martin Luther King, Kennedy's brother, right? Edgar Mevers, I'm messing his name up, but please forgive me. I should remember this gentleman's name, but he was a revolutionary, right? You know, and they all got murked,
Yeah.
right? You know, and it you know, it was the seen forces, right?
Yeah.
You know, that did that for a purpose,
Yes.
right? So here we are now, and how many years later, decades later, it's unfolding at the stitches.
Yeah. No, 100%.
You know, where, like, in my opinion, like, we're calling it America, but this is not America anymore.
Yeah, we're not the United States because we are indeed not very united at this time.
Right. And that's not just because of the last couple of years, but that's because of the last several decades.
Yes.
Right. And it's just a kind of a nothing is by accident. Right. You know, there's a lot going that, you know, that is very out of our control. Right. So this is what I'm all trying to get to. Right. So on the individual level, just like in the masses, right? We have what we can control and what we can't control,
Yes.
right? So what you can control is like, okay, what you have to, like, what time you wake up during the day, right? In the morning, right? You can control that, right? For the most part, right? You know, you can control your thoughts. You can control what your actions, right, and what you do as an individual.
Yeah.
Right. What you can't control is anybody else around you, right? But I think I lost my train of thought too.
It's so hard trying to navigate with this because it's such a sensitive topic.
Yeah.
It's such a sensitive topic, and especially in these times where there's people who will automatically like tune you out if they feel like something that you say.
I think I just
is
tuned
not
myself
aligned.
out.
Yeah, like doesn't necessarily align. And I feel like that's why I'm finding it a little bit difficult to speak to, because as much as I have my own personal opinions about how things are going on, you know, right now politically or worldwide, I also know that I can't just come on here and like spew all of it out because I don't want other ears to close. I want people to listen to me, even if it's just a little bit, even if it causes them to change their mind or question maybe their beliefs or something like that, you know? Because I feel like what you said, going back to what you said earlier, that we lost that, you know, when you're able to debate somebody and actually listen to their point of view, where they're coming from, where they're pulling their facts from or their beliefs, and understanding their point of view without attacking them.
Right. And I feel that a lot of people get attacked.
Yeah.
They feel they get attacked because when you ask them, okay, where are you that from? Right? Like, and you're not questioning their integrity, but you're questioning, okay, open to learning that, where can I go find that information to include into my research in my library of where my thoughts come from.
Yes.
Right? And then if somebody is just saying that because they heard it someone else say it, and they just believe that other person, with, you know, where did that person get it from, and where did they get their resource from? And that's the reason this person can't explain it, because they just heard something that they're repeating.
Yes.
And not understanding.
Yes.
Right?
And then that's when you get those people who become flustered and then shut you out.
Right. Aggressive.
This episode of BAM BizTalk is brought to you by Flash Mobile. Whether you're managing your business, chasing your dreams, or just handling life on the go, Flash Mobile gives you nationwide for GLTE coverage. No contracts and total freedom, all at a price that makes sense. Activate your plan in minutes. Bring your own device. Stay in control wherever life takes you. Contact us and make the switch today. And now let's get back to today's show.
You know, aggressive, actually aggressive, or passive aggressive, right? They're both forms of aggression, whether it's recognized or not. Like, it's, you know, what can you do other than, hey, we're having a conversation, you know, and it's in this of creating something than whoever's here, right?
Yes.
That's all in the spirit is creating the better.
Yeah.
Right. What does that look like?
Yes.
You know, and then that's where all those others come in, and special interest and clouds and muds. And, you know, you have media that is not media anymore, right? They're not reporting factual information, you know, across the board.
Yeah.
You know?
And just being hateful and angry. And when you're listening to somebody who is hateful and angry all the time, that's the energy that you start having within yourself and that you start putting out as well. So it's more important now than ever to be able to do your own research and find like sources that are verified. You could be like, okay, well, I saw this in this area that maybe like disagrees with my point of view. But I'm seeing more of this than I did something that proved what I was believing at the time, right?
Yeah.
Because there is a lot of people who will listen to somebody and hear somebody who's really passionate about the way that they're speaking, but passion does not always mean that what they're saying is right.
Right.
And so, and they might be able to say that verbatim or whatever they heard, you know, to somebody else, trying to spread that as well. But if you're able to do the research and see for yourself whether or not those statements are proved to be true or maybe they're false, then you're able to come up with your own conclusion, which is more important, right? It's not about being left or right or being a part of some group, because at the end of the day, it's about humanity and moving forward as one, because we're all just human. We're all living the same experience. Life is only one, and it's a short one.
You never know.
Yeah, no, for sure. And when you're living your life with anger and hatred and being afraid all the time,
That's where it's from.
yeah, that's not living. I think we're in a much better place, especially if you believe in Christianity. Even if you believe in some other form of spiritualism, a lot of it, the majority of it, stems from love and peace, coming to an understanding.
Yeah. I mean, that's I kind of see that as like the only true religion, right? Like, love is my religion.
Yeah.
Right? And doesn't really matter outside of that.
Yeah.
You know, because if you believe in a God or not, well, the God is love, right? At the end of the day, what else can you break at its core essence is, right? But so let's get into that process, because what you're doing is you have organizations called Common Ground.
Yes.
Right?
And know your vote.
Know your vote. Common Ground, know your vote. You know.
Yes, and it's to help people register to vote before the primaries. This won't be our only event this year. We will hopefully have 2-3 more before leading up to the midterms.
Which is?
Midterms happen on November the 3rd.
Okay.
Primaries are happening on March the 3rd. And the last day to register for the primaries is February 2nd.
Okay.
So primaries are very important because it's what shapes the midterms. On the primaries, you have several candidates running in both the Republican and the Democratic Party. And you basically go in there and vote to see who's going to be running in the main election. And right now, we have a lot of candidates. And there's a lot of positions open right now for Senate, for Texas representatives, for lieutenant governor, for governor, railroad commissioner, head of agriculture. There's a lot of offices up for election in midterms this year. And if you don't know exactly what midterms are, they're elections that happen 2 years before the next presidential election. So they're very important because they do help shape the government for the next presidency and for the current one as well.
Right. So you're trying to get, what about the vote? Who's on the list? Who's running for what?
Yeah.
Right.
So we want to make sure that everybody here is informed about who they're going to be voting for. So this next event, we're going to be solely on registering people. I will have a sheet saying what positions people will be running for. But as for the candidates, that'll be something that I'm going to be asking the public to do research on. We will have some of that information on our page on Facebook. But there's just so many candidates, especially for governor this year. I was actually looking at that again before we started the podcast.
Yeah.
And there's a ton of
in the hundreds?
no, maybe like 50, 20. But I mean, that's
significant.
Yeah, it's a lot compared to how it usually is because midterms usually have a really low turnout. But this year is different. This year is different. Get to the polls. They're excited. There's people who haven't voted before who really want to vote, who have already registered to vote since last year. So it's something to look forward to, especially if you're not in agreement with how things are coming or running with the current government right now. I think it's really important to be able to put your voice out there and make sure that you're heard. And the only way to do that is by using your right to vote.
And it's like a muscle. Use it or you're going to lose it.
Yeah, no, 100%.
Yeah.
100%. I feel like in the last few years, or maybe even before then, there's been a sense of conformity with how things have been happening. So there hasn't been that much involvement within the youth, right? So probably the last time there was like so much hype around voting was probably after Bush's second term. Right when Obama got elected, I feel like that's whenever we saw a really big push. With all of that.
I think because we were ready for a change.
Yes.
We were wanting. So interesting. That's the only time I ever voted red or blue.
Yeah.
Get Obama in, man. Let's go.
Yeah.
Other than that, I've disconnected. I protest vote. I vote libertarian every time.
Yeah.
I align with a lot of the ideals of libertarian, but not 100%, just like anything else. But if I'm going to vote for any ideal, it's the libertarians because they're the only other option besides the other one party. And I'm counting the blue and red as one party. They're the same party.
Yes.
Because it's the system's not exactly the people.
Yeah, no, I agree. I feel like especially in the last few years, the people who were running were either people who had really strong ties to people or companies who had monies that, could benefit other groups of people more than the common working man person here, in the States. And I've been the same way. I mean, I've never really 100% aligned with Democratic views or Republican views. There was a point where I would say I believed in the social policies that came with Democrats just because they seemed that they were more free for the people, for them to choose how they would live their lives. Yeah. But there was policies that Republicans had, like in the financial sector, that I agreed with more than I did with Democrats.
Right.
And I think it's really important that we never have an extreme loyalty to either party.
1,000%.
Yes. I think the loyalty that we need to have is towards us, the people, because these people work for us. They are elected officials. They get paid with our taxes, with our hardworking money. So it's important that we choose people who are willing to choose us.
Yeah. No, I agree. Yes.
Follow Common Ground if you haven't already. We will be posting more information on there as well too. And just so I can mention, because I don't think I have, Common Ground is completely non-partisan. I'm not telling you who to vote for.
Yeah. That's
totally up to you. All I'm providing is you the tools that you need to be able to become part of the civic movement, to be able to be a voter, to be knowledgeable in where your vote is going so that you know your vote.
Awesome. That's where I was going. Know your vote.
Yes.
No, I think that's great. And I think are the future, right? It's not, it's an actual fact that the younger people are the future, right? And the more they know, right?
Yeah.
The more they're able to learn. And like you said, doing your research. Thing is, there's so much information out there.
Yes.
Right. And it really is because I'm the age to when I remember the world was no internet.
Yeah.
No internet, no phone. Like, we was wild.
Oh, yeah. Yes. And I was thinking about this yesterday. It's funny that you say that, right? So because I was born in 97, I'm in between Gen Z and millennials. So I grew up with having no internet access to social media popping off and being the main thing, to having flip phones, to having touch screens and FaceTime and all of that. So it's been a crazy ride throughout the years. It's been a big change. And I've seen it now with like the younger generation that grow up with all of this, how in tune they are with social media and the internet and everything. But like you said, there's so much information out there. It's hard to distinguish where you can get verifiable facts, what's actual factual and what's not. Right. And being from the generation that I am, I feel like I did get a little bit more knowledge behind that during my school years on how to see what you can actually, see as true, or like what's real news and not just some blog somebody posted, right? Right. So like going to college at UTPB, obviously when you're writing your research papers, they show you.
Cite your sources.
Yeah, cite your sources. Look at the journals that they have, multiple sources, not just one news media. You want to ones. And it's important to do that. It's really important to do that.
1,000%. Yeah. Because no matter what your beliefs are, right? Your beliefs were formed somehow, right? Whether you were a part of forming that or not, it doesn't matter. They were formed, right? So that means they're a construct. You just constructed what you believe, right? And so about that's why like so few people know who they are. Right. If you ask somebody if you were to ask 100 people what's your purpose, probably only get about 2 people that would be able to tell you.
Yeah.
Right. About 5% that are gonna think that they know and can tell you, and then that leaves the other 90-something%
that's just confused.
That are and for a long time, I'm still confused. I remember my days
I think
in
that's
confusion.
just part of like being a human,
right? But if you ask me, for sure, I think that if you were to ask me, what your purpose is, I could snap it off because I know, right? I'm living it.
Yeah.
But also, it's been a journey.
Yeah, it takes yourself. It takes going through the lows, going through the highs, and going through those, when there's no waves coming in and you're just at peace and taking all of that in and using it in combination to really figure out where you're going or where you're supposed to be headed. Because your purpose doesn't have to be saving the world.
Right.
It's like we had a conversation earlier where we were like helping others one person at a time, whether it's changing their point of view or something, or maybe opening them up to something new. Right. I think that's really important, to be able to have an open mind, to see different points of views, to see different situations from different perspectives. I feel like that really allows you to be able to take it all in.
You know that in today's world, distraction is the enemy. The Deep Flow formula fuses human performance mastery with AI integration, helping you cut through the chaos, sharpen focus, and get more done in less time. In just one workshop, you'll learn how to turn stress into a repeatable rhythm of high performance, boost your creativity, and achieve clarity on demand. This isn't theory, it's a framework you can apply immediately. Call BAM Ventures, your business sidekick, at 432-247-8841 to step into your flow today.
The BAM BizTalk podcast is brought to you by our sponsor, Pachuco's Restaurant. Craving authentic and eclectic cuisine in Midland? Well, Pachuco's has you covered. Located in downtown Midland at the ever so legendary and iconic historic building at 316 North Big Spring Street, Pachuco's blends rich and unique flavors in a conveniently pleasant and vibrant atmosphere. Enjoy the highest quality barbecue, savory tacos, burgers, and a variety of other mouth-watering dishes that reflect the spirit of a true Pachuco cuisine. Real, authentic, and just plain different. Check out their menu at www.pachucos432.com or call 432-218-8806 to inquire, or better yet, just show up and get your shine on. At Pachucos, where heritage, exquisite taste, and hospitality come together for an unforgettable dining experience. Pachucos, Midland, Texas. Now back to the show.
It's like a painter who's painting a canvas, right? Like, and people can do a lot of dopes with one color,
Yeah.
right? But what if you had all the colors? You could make something super vibrant and complex, right? Whereas if you're only picking one color, it's for one specific purpose.
Yeah.
To do something with that, But if you have all involved, right, then you have more to pull from. You have more tools at your disposal. You have a more field spectrum from where you can access knowledge from, right? Because there's wisdom in a lot of things that we kind of take for granted or don't acknowledge, or for instance, I was raised on Star Wars.
Yes.
Right? And Star Wars, I have watched the original trilogy. I can't even count how many times.
I only watched all of Star Wars the first time last year. I loved it. Yeah.
Hey, we got another one. Yeah. It's right. There's so much wisdom in it.
Yeah.
And then here's the thing, the more you watch it, there's still new wisdom in it. And there's still deeper layers inside it. And I think that is because, like any good book, right? Like the Bible, right?
Yeah.
You could read a certain section over and over and then read it one day and all of a sudden like, oh, that's what it means, right? Same thing with Star Wars, right?
Yeah.
Like, oh, right? Like it came out the year before I was born, right? But so I saw the second one, Empire Strikes Back, in theaters, right? And was blown away. And then as I get older, I'm seeing the whole series, and like I just over and over again, it's just like that's what life. This is how I'm going to live my life.
Yeah, you start connecting more of the dots.
And then, as so I got older and rewatched it, and the prequel's out. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, this is great, right? It's just not entertainment, but it's wisdom wrapped in entertainment.
Yeah, no, 100%. And it's like that even with like a lot of the Disney movies. If you really pay attention to these movies, there's a story, a moral of the story behind it, all of them. And there is different layers to it. Even the bad guys from Star Wars, there's reason behind it.
Right.
Why did Anakin turn into Darth Vader?
Yeah.
At one point he was pretty great. What changed him?
Yeah. Or was it always there and he crushed?
Yeah.
And
he decided to feed the wrong wolf.
Right. Exactly. He fed the wrong wolf.
Oh God, that movie where he kills the Padawans.
Yeah.
That got me.
That it's Empire Strikes Back. That's my favorite. And then that movie, Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah.
Where you see the process of Anakin becoming Vader.
Yeah, that was like where he left the light.
Right.
100%.
Yeah, he crossed when he chopped off and saved the Emperor, and then going after the younglings, just like locked it in, like solidified his turn, and it's like that, right? Because I've going through life, right? You come to like ups and downs, right? Well, sometimes when you're in the down, you just feel like there's no hope.
Yeah.
It's hopeless. Like, I am stuck here in this, I don't even know what to call it, state where it's like a empty black hole.
Yeah.
And no matter how much I tried to pull out, I kept getting like a magnet to a piece of metal. it's stuck, and you just feel hopeless. You could very easily make a decision to like, this is just what it is then.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean, and we see that progress, right, with character development throughout the movies, because at the very end, we see him turn back to the light side
Yeah,
after he
Yeah.
has that confrontation with his son.
yeah.
And his son is able to see that too. He doesn't just see him for all the bad things that he's done. He sees his dad or Anakin for what he once was.
Right.
And he sees the yearning for him to want to come back to that light side.
Yeah, yeah, and a new hope, right?
Yes.
So I think that story, and the reason that story was so much with us, right? Like you're talking about how Disney does it as well on their other
movies.
right? That's a whole other thing about Disney and Star Wars that I do not want to get into right now. That'll bring out my dark side. but it's the art of storytelling. Great marketers get the message across.
Yes.
It's the hero's journey. It's the story that's been told since humans were telling stories, right? And when they would, wanting to capture somebody's attention, well, they tell a story in a certain order, and to where we can look at that story.
Yes, like it clicks, like, oh,
Right.
this is really relevant to what's happening in today's
Right.
world.
Because, like, bring up the Bible again. If you can read in the Bible, you're relevant today.
Yeah.
It is all very relevant. Even in a completely made up universe like Star Wars,
Yeah.
it's relevant.
And there's a lot of books like that too, because I
Yeah.
mean, I could say Animal Farm from George Orwell is a great one. Fahrenheit 451 is another one.
Yes.
Books like that are really important to read and to be able to understand what's actually happening, because it's like you said, history repeats itself, and it has over the centuries, and we've seen it over and over again. And I think it's the lack of, I feel like there are generations that learn about it, and then it kind of just fades away
Yes.
because it's unnecessary. It doesn't become relevant to
Right.
day-to-day life until it does again.
Right.
And then that's when that push for that knowledge, that intellectualism comes back. And I feel like that's what we're going to see in the next couple of years, is the
Yeah.
push for intellectualism, to read these books again, to learn about history again, to make sure that we don't forget again.
Right. And I think you're right. So because history's the swinging of the pendulums, right? It goes right, and we don't. It's not relevant till it's in our focus, right?
Yeah.
It's not relevant till it's coming right at us. So when we get hit with it, we're like, oh, let me wake up and okay, let's try this, right? Or watch it crumble, and then again after it crumbles, we build it back up.
Yeah, new stories are created.
The Phoenix Rising, right? The wash, rinse, repeat of our story, right? And like I said this earlier too, is like we're not just on stage. It's all a show, right? We come and we go, right?
Yes.
Life is so fragile, you could lose it in a second,
Yeah.
right? And life's so short. Like even living a long 100-year life is short. That's a
Yeah.
short lifetime, So you really have to find who you are in that short amount of time, because that's all you got.
Yeah, and where you align and
Yeah.
everything.
What do you
beliefs are? Yes, and if like whatever you're supporting aligns with those beliefs.
to keep yourself grounded?
Yeah, 100%.
It's wild that we get like an opportunity, like just to have a conversation about how reality is perceived, right? So there's so many different perceptions that how do we have an actual conversation? Because you're about intellectualism, right? So again, the pendulum is always swinging, right? So there is a dark side to intellectualism.
Yeah.
I mean, like, so like there is a there's a middle. There's always the middle part, and when we come into that middle part, where everything is aligned, like you're saying, right? And for us individually, how do we capture that in ourselves, and then in the larger aspect of how do we all get along?
Yes.
Right.
And I think a really big part of that is mutual respect. Somebody might not be living by the way that you feel like you should be living your life. You know, they may not be doing the things or maybe see or believe the things that you do, but I feel like it's really important to be able to respect somebody else for their beliefs and what they stand in, because for me, in my reality, if they're not harming me, if they aren't physically hurting me or physically hurting those that I love or anything like that, then you know what, you do you, dude. Live your life. That's how you see it, then good. But once it crosses the line where like those person's beliefs are being forcefully put on somebody else, it's damaging them, whether it's physically, emotionally, mentally, in some kind of way, then that's whenever I'm kind of like, okay, we need to take a step back here.
Yeah.
Because there's no mutual respect. We lost that. And who's to say that my beliefs are better than your beliefs, or that they're any truer than yours, you know?
Yeah. And that right there, that the back forth, like existence, right?
Yeah, and you could like 100% not agree with somebody else, but as long as you have that respect, then I think we could find that middle ground. As long as you're to hear your neighbor out, you can find that middle ground.
It's so
that common ground.
The common ground. There we go. There is I know I always end up kind of bringing hermetic principles into this, but like as above, so below, so within, so without, right? So it's the macro and the micro. So what we're talking about here, mutual respect, that's us on a micro scale.
Yes.
That's us one-on-one, right? Or one-on, we're just our circle of influence.
Yes.
Right? And the more, it's like, look at it like a huge web where there's nodes, right? And they're all connected, right? We're all a node in a larger web.
Yeah.
Right? And it just makes this big grid, right? I'm just asking people to imagine that, right? Because that's how we're all connected, and imagine like an ivy growing on a wall. Well, if part of the ivy gets, something gets on it, or it dies for whatever reason, well, there's still a part of the other ivy that's still alive because it rooted in somewhere, right? And it kept growing, right? So this ivy over here that's alive and this ivy over here that's alive, they're separate now because this middle part is no longer active, right?
Yeah.
So if what I'm saying is that if that ivy in the middle, and this is just probably an analogy now that we're talking all the way through it, but if you're able to spread your light and influence, right, who you're connected to, right, on the micro scale, well, then that impacts the larger macro scale at the end of the day, right? What can you control and what can you not control? What is your locus of control, right? And so the macro scale is, there's a huge storm, right? You're just like geopolitical storm going on, both in the United States, but also all around the world.
Yes, 100%,
right?
all over the world.
And it's really a global thing that we're dealing with now.
Yes.
There's so many factors, right? And so much history in the modern era, right? Not even talking about older, more ancient times, but, since the
reason the last 2 decades.
Yeah, that's just the top of the layer, right? But I mean, take it back to World War One. There's so much kind of like control that was taken from us, right, from just people in general, to ensure that we would never really have control. But it was, not overt king, the whole American thing, right? But that really didn't go away, right? So it's kind of seeing what's happening now. It's like the kings are coming to collect.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a really crazy way to think about it when you're about it that way, right? Because like after World War II, the world as a collective, NATO was formed to be able to move away from imperialism. So we got to move away from kings or people just trying to take over other land for their resources or for whatever other reason, right? To stop war. And NATO has been able to prevent that to a certain extent. We haven't had another World War III. It's been, what, like 70, 80 years since World War II? Around 80 years.
Yeah.
And now we're at this point where it's like, what's going to happen next? You know, with, I mean, if you want to get technical with it, I mean, we know stuff is happening in Iran right now. They're having a whole revolution. I know that they're not necessarily involved in NATO, but they do have effects on NATO countries.
Oh, yeah, it's all connected, for sure.
Yeah, and then we have Venezuela, right?
Yeah.
We took off a dictator there, which is, things can be true at once. Awesome. I'm glad that we took him out because he, at the end of the day, he was a dictator. He was doing bad for country. And there had already been about, since the 70s or 60s there in Venezuela, that they had been under some form of dictatorship.
Yeah.
So it had been a while for them.
Yeah.
But now they're left with a certain uncertainty again.
Yeah.
And they were a NATO country. And so, I mean, now if the U.S. goes into Greenland, what happens then?
Right.
Because we are allowed military bases there because of the agreement that we had with them. We're allowed to have as many military personnel there as we can or we want. But it just turns into a different thing whenever you're trying to take control of it.
Control of it, for sure. You know, just on the Venezuelan thing, yes, I agree. Maduro needed to be taken out years ago, right? You know, and the pretense for going in now, what's the difference from, when he first came on board, right? There's not. It's just, okay, it's largely a distraction. It is strategic though, right? It is. And that's why I say we should have done it of it, not the reasoning or pretense we went in to do it.
Yeah.
But just the fact that he was not a benevolent dictator, because there's other dictators and we don't mess with.
Yeah, no, and I agree, right? Because now
why,
we're being told,
right,
who are we to be the world police?
Right.
And I agree.
Why this guy, right?
Yeah.
And the reason I see that there is an argument to go in is because it's the Western Hemisphere, right? Straight up, this is our part of the world, right? And if one of our major players in our part of the world is actively working against their part of the world, with the other guys, right?
Yeah.
That's a problem, right? And like a long time ago, there's this the Monroe Doctrine, right, where the United States we're responsible for taking care of the. I think that's what we did, right? Now there's all kinds of consequences and hey, reasonings and yes, the oil, but hey, I guarantee right now, if you anybody who's Venezuelan, right, who is a native of Venezuela, they're ecstatic and they're like, use our oil for good, right? Because that Maduro guy was not using our oil for good.
Yeah, but then you have the oil companies here in the States saying that it's investable,
then
that
there's
it'll
that
take
aspect.
Years for them to be able to make some kind of.
Right.
And people here in Midland are actually kind of upset.
Yeah.
Because instead of focusing money to better our oil field systems here, because we do have a lot of oil leaks on closed wells and stuff like that are not being dealt with.
Yeah.
It takes away from jobs here too.
Yeah.
It has the potential for that.
Right.
Entrepreneurs and small business owners, are you searching for ways of taking your business to the next level? BAM is your answer. We specialize in crafting high-performance marketing strategies that put your brand front and center right in the palm of your customers' hands. Not only can we create a premium website full of features that optimize your social media and digital marketing presence, but we ensure that your brand gets multiple views from your target audience and even those visiting your competition. BAM is your go-to solution in the Permian Basin. But we're not just about digital and social media marketing. We're a one-stop shop offering a spectrum of services including business mentorship, strategic planning, market research, and access to capital. That's right, we can get you funding to expand your business. With BAM, you're not just getting a service, you're gaining a partner committed to your growth for the life of your business. So why wait? Kickstart your journey to success today. Call us to set up a free consultation and discover how BAM can help your business soar above the rest. 432-247-8840. Call today and get your business launched.
Yeah, there's uncertainty there,
aspect
not
there.
just for Venezuelans, but here in the States.
Right. Yeah. Then, so the consequences are that's one aspect, right? The whole Ukraine situation, Israel, Palestine, Iran connection there.
There's so much going
Yeah.
on everywhere.
And then China is gonna China. It's
Yeah.
gonna do. They're gonna been around for years as a society. They play the long game. I'm really kind of scared of any global entity.
It's them.
Yeah, I love Eastern Chinese culture, right? Like the essence of it in all of I would love to go to China, but on the world, on the chess game, on the chessboard, right? I'm watching like, oh, they're the ones to watch.
Yeah, no, 100%.
And they're basically who we are on the other side, right? Then they're buddies with the other big juggernaut, Russia.
Yeah.
So yeah, I definitely see why people are apprehensive that we're getting close to the edge, but like it's almost inevitable over what, like, if you're stepping back, like you said, step back, or if you're stepping back and you're looking at the big picture, right? And you've been kind of like paying attention from the sidelines, and history, right? You know how empires rise and fall, which that's a great book for people to be reading right now. Ray Dalio, The Rise and Fall of Nations, right?
You're gonna have to look into that one.
That's a good one because he just puts it out there and he ties history recycling itself, right? We're coming to an end of a cycle, or a section in the cycle, right? Because that is getting played out right now. Remember, like I mentioned earlier, like the Shakespearean, we're all on the stage. It's all the world stage. Where we're just putting all this out, right? Call it the karmic cycle, or whatever kind of words on this repeating story that we keep living over and over again. We live it in our own lives until we don't. Right? Because we will, as a person, we have our ups and downs. We have our great times and our really dark, bad times. And it's how are you navigating, coordinating through those? That's the micro. And then when it gets relations and larger, now you're expanding into the larger global sense, then because it's all related.
Yeah, and it's all really sensitive too.
Yes. Right. The butterfly effect.
Yes, because like you could stand back and like watch these countries do their thing, but I mean, we see some of them. Just take Russia, for example, they crossed and they did that with Ukraine,
Or did they? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
6 or 7.
Yeah, right. Well, it just depends on how you see everything.
Right.
And it's
right.
either, whenever that had happened, you're just using the Ukraine and Russia as an example. Whenever that happened, we were basically just sitting in the background watching it unfold, because if we do take action, what are the repercussions to those actions? What happens after, knowing that Russia is an ally to China? And they're pretty strong allies.
Yeah.
So, and it's harder even more whenever you do have an agreement with Russia and Ukraine. Yeah. And the United States having that agreement with them, right? So they broke that agreement, but in that agreement, you were also allies with Russia at some point. So
at some point, right? It's a really tangled web. And, that's a hard call, right? Because again, like we can't necessarily go and police the right outright, but a lot of it is covert, because even though we weren't fighting, we were still giving them and selling them a lot of weapons.
Yeah.
Right.
Financially, we were still helping.
Right. A lot.
Yeah. And I mean, that's happened in a lot of countries.
A lot of countries. So there still is a pandemic. Let's call it like a painkiller pandemic, right? Where somebody gets on painkillers, right? And they're addicted to it, right? It's like giving somebody money and they're addicted to receiving that money without having to do anything for it. Whatever it is that whoever's getting, like it's basically that they are now controllable based on what they're receiving, right? And the one that holds the power is the puppet master.
Yeah.
Right? So how many times, or that's the purpose why we're helping all these countries, not because we're being nice and with heart and, oh, we don't want your people to starve. It's like, no, we want you to owe us.
Yeah. That's
You
just
know.
how the world works.
That's
it's
how
transactional.
That's
and it's always been that way.
That's a perfect word for that, right? And it has, right, since the days of old, right? That's just right. It's just the use of influence, right? And one day, right, or they have some really nice. Their country has this shiny rock that we can go in mind and put on our phones, it goes back to, there's another book, War is a Racket by Smedley D. Butler, right? He was a United States Marine general during World War I. One of the most, at the time, I'm not sure about this, need to check me on this, but he was the most decorated soldier of all time, right? I know at that point for sure. So, he wrote a book because he was being sent to foreign countries to establish military bases and secure crops, sugar plantations, all kinds of resources. And he was basically sent to he was the guy doing it, on the boots on the ground, men out there, United States, people. And he was like, this isn't right. He had a huge march on Washington at the time, right? This is right after World War I sometime. He had a huge march in protest because Smedley D became one of the most prolific protesters of all time as United States military.
Yeah.
Right? So because he saw that something wasn't right. Right? And then, he gets buried, dismissed. Of course, that's what they do, right? They're gonna crucify and bury him.
Yes.
Forget about it, right? And then almost books.
Yeah, because I personally never heard of him.
Not
before.
a lot of people have, right? That's not something they're gonna put in the textbooks, because straight up, these textbooks are brainwashed. They're whitewashed,
Yeah. There's a lot of missing history.
A lot of it.
A lot of it that's not taught in our schools that should be taught. I mean, even the ugly. I mean, I know a lot of it is ugly here in the United States. That's just the plain truth of it.
It is.
And that doesn't make me an American or unpatriotic to see it or say that. It's
facts.
Yeah, I'm acknowledging the truth of it.
Right.
And I think it's really important to do that because that way we're able to see where we've gone wrong before and how we can do better moving forward. And I think it leads back to the conversation that we were having earlier with history repeating itself and those in that way. If we're not able to see that or be constantly painfully aware of it, then we'll forget and we're going to keep repeating the same mistakes. We'll allow the same mistakes to be repeated while we just stand and watch.
Yeah.
And it happens gradually. It happens slowly through the decades. Yes, it really does. It really does. Because, I mean, I've thought about it before. How did we end up in this situation and that we are, right? But it started way before I was born.
Yeah. Right.
Starting a business isn't about logos, especially luck. It's about building a foundation that lasts. The Business Accelerator Blueprint by BAM Ventures gives you a proven 5-step system to launch and scale in 90 days. From entity formation and branding to cash flow systems and growth, this blueprint takes you from scattered to streamlined. Don't guess your way through business. It's not the way to go. Build it in a smart way. Call BAM Ventures, your business sidekick, 432-247-8841. And let's lock in your blueprint on the pathway to success.
Right. Yeah. Oh, yeah. It started way back. And that's why I wanted to bring up, like World War I, right? That was the first major opportunity that the war machine took hold, took a grip, got back into power.
Yeah.
Right? And it's influenced everything, right? I mean, we've look at World War II. So Truman, right? He was a military, general, right? Kind of on his way out, his what do they call this in their office?
Yeah, their goodbye speech.
Right. Well, he warned us about the complex. He said, be warned. There is a force, an unseen force that is underneath and taking control. And not I'm chopping his words up, but basically that's what he was saying.
Yeah.
And he named it the military industrial complex. And it's been in our lexicon ever since he mentioned that. And now that's what's ruling stuff, right?
Yeah.
That's why both everything's divided with one or the other, right? We're a blue and red, and it's really psyops, right? Operations that they know us better than we know ourselves, and they're the puppet masters, right? That's why all these hard rock groups, right? They're like, literally, there's songs about this, right? Like Metallica, right? Master. They're telling us, there's so many songs, right? By all sorts of groups that are telling us about this military industrial complex. It's just able to turn us into consumers, not creators.
Yeah. And you know what? I feel like we've gotten to a point where now we're starting to see a reemergence in art in a political sense too.
I hope so.
I've been seeing it, whether
Yeah.
it's like paintings or writings, poets. I've been seeing music, metal music coming back, angry music, because the people are mad.
Right.
They're mad. They don't feel stable. They don't feel secure. A lot of people don't during this time. And so, I mean, that's completely understandable.
Yeah.
Completely understandable.
And that's always been like, culture is so important. It's so important to all of that, right? The free expression of the human spirit. To how do we see the world, and how can we creation from a creator standpoint, to where we're creating not for ourselves,
Yeah.
but at the same time for ourselves. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? It's this weird symbiotic kind of cycle that, we're creating for, to get it out of us as whatever the music, painting, dancing, name it, right? Poetry, like you said, and when people are angry, when they're pushed to feel some sort of something because they feel something ain't right. Just like Smedley D. Butler, if something ain't, I have to do something about it, right? And if not me, who?
Yeah.
Right? Because and this is where I was going with all this. I believe it was Viktor Frankl. He was a Holocaust survivor, and I think it was him. If I'm butchering this up too, please forgive me. My memory, is not the best. But and basically saying it was about the Holocaust though, and it was saying like when they started coming for a certain group, let's just say the Gypsies, I did nothing. And then when it came for the next group, I did nothing. And then the next group, they did nothing. But when they came for me, there was no one there.
And
to
that's a
save me.
quote that I actually keep seeing, and I've been seeing especially these last few days.
Yeah.
That keeps hitting me hard too,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Because it's important to speak out whenever you feel that something isn't right. And it's important to be empathetic even if it doesn't affect you, because at one point it will, and that's
At one point it will.
fact. What the government or somebody, no, but we're talking about the government.
Yeah.
What the government does to others, they will eventually do to you.
Right. It's wild, right? When you when you break that all the way down, and you put yourself in that poem, right? Put yourself in there as the last, and if you're watching, and it is what it is. ICE is out there, and they're taking illegals back, right? Okay, not bothering me directly. I'm here. I'm good. But at the end of the day, I have a little bit more melanin in my skin. My name kind of says I'm not from here, right? So and then I'm not fluent in Spanish. I can get along, but I'm not
Yeah.
fluent. And when I speak, you can't tell. So but eventually, when it is that a possibility that they could look at me and say, "Hey, buddy, time to go."
Yeah, and
Right?
I've seen it happen.
And-
I've seen them target U.S. citizens. We've seen ICE capture another person who works for ICE.
Right. Right.
And it's happening in
Right.
plain sight, whether we choose to take it in or ignore it.
Right.
Again, because it's not happening in front of us.
And I see like that mistake happening, right? Because if he would have known that dude was ICE, he wouldn't have done it. You know what I mean? Obviously, but he thought, oh, a Latino, let me go get him, right?
Yeah.
And hey, don't get me wrong, I'm speaking in that voice, but there are other Latinos involved in that, going grabbing
Yeah.
illegals and kicking them out, right? So
Yes.
it's not a race thing. It's just you're not, you're on that team, right? Which I think we're all on the same team. It's not like I'm not you're on your team, but let's all
That's
do
just
the
the
right
side
thing.
they're choosing to
right?
be on.
Right.
Yes.
And what I'm saying is, like, eventually will it get to where even though I was born here, will I no longer be welcome here, right?
Well, when the president starts talking about denaturalization of people who have already become citizens, it also starts becoming more real, that concept.
It gets real. It gets real.
Because at first it was just criminals, the worst of the worst.
Right.
That was what they were saying. We've seen that's been proven wrong. You can go on the DHS website and see the statistics on the people that they have arrested and see that them about 70-80% of them have not committed any criminal
Right.
crimes, anything like that would put them in that category.
Right.
And so it's like, when does it stop?
When does it stop? When does it stop?
Because why go after the people who are doing it the right way? And I mean, even at that, like, if you want to get really deep into it, there's a lot to be done when it comes to immigration reform.
Oh my gosh. It's a broken system.
Yeah, and the only thing with me, like, growing up in the United States, especially being first gen here, the belief that this was a piece of acceptance. They accepted
Right.
my roots. I was going to be able to be here and grow my family and be 100% American, because that's all I've ever seen myself as.
It's the promise.
An American, yes.
It's the American promise.
Proud to be.
Right.
And it's why are we being pushed to the side saying that we're something else whenever America is a huge melting pot in itself? And how successful could we be if we took people, because this is America, we take people from all over the world. Those who are hopeless, those who are fleeing persecution. That has always been America from the foundation of it. They were fleeing a king.
Right.
They were fleeing persecution from their own people, and even in the Statue of Liberty, it has like a saying on there, and it says, bring me those kind of people here.
Yeah.
That is America.
Right.
It's a combination of multiple people, and that's what gives us strength
Yeah.
within the world too. I feel like that's what made people be like, I want to go to America, because
Yeah.
I can meet people from everywhere there.
Yeah.
And that's beautiful, in my opinion. I don't think there's anything to be scared of in that part.
Yeah. There's not. There's strength and beauty in that, right? And I think that in that, and let me just say this: that is a standpoint. That's a strong position to be in when you can be all accepting, to be all now, right? That's one thing. Now the other thing is, we do have laws for a reason.
Yeah.
And that's the reason America is what it is, because we have set of laws that work in the way which it does,
Yes.
right? So in that, what is practical? What can we do that doesn't throw out the baby with the bathwater, right? Like, where's that middle ground again, right? Where's the sweet spot that we can find, that we can come to common ground on,
Yeah.
right? And say, okay, this is a practical. What we're doing right now is not practical.
No.
Okay, I understand that we shouldn't just have open borders and allow millions to come over.
I agree.
Also understand that we need to fix the problem, because there's a problem here.
Yes,
right?
there's a way to have strength in it while also having compassion.
Right, exactly, right? And I think the stronger both of those two are, right, and together, right, that's where our real power is,
Yes.
right? Strength and compassion, right? Like, I want to point to a really good podcast. It just dropped, the Joe Rogan Experience. He had Senator Rand Paul,
Okay.
right? And they had this conversation on there. And Rand Paul, I think I've always liked him, and his dad, Ron. They're very, very libertarian focused, right? But I think he has an idea that's super practical, that's not in the conversation.
Yeah.
And what his idea is, basically, please listen to podcasts or look up his thoughts on this, right? Because so you can have an understanding of it than what I'm saying. But basically saying, yes, the premise, right? Criminal background check. What you know, if you're, we don't want you here, you got to go, right?
Yeah.
But okay, say you came over illegally, right? But your kids were born here. But we call, we're not going to kick you out, but you're not going to be able to vote. You're not going to be able to get on food stamps. You're not going to be able, you don't get any benefits, but you still got to pay taxes. You got to pay your due to live here, right?
Which, if we're being honest, that's already happening. A lot of these undocumented immigrants, they have ITN numbers. They pay taxes.
Right.
Undocumented immigrants
Right.
contribute a large amount to the
Right.
tax system within
Right.
the United States.
Right. But we have our problems to fix too, right? So if that is more of a thing, it's like, okay, wait, are they taxes? They're cool. They're not committing crimes, right? They can stay there. We're not going to give them citizenship, right? They get to vote. They don't get all the perks of being American, right? They get a tax refund and all that stuff, right? Like they pay taxes and that's their fee for living here.
Yeah.
Right? But they're free to operate, free to own a business, free to do what, be, except what makes an American, the citizen of America is like, I get to go vote, right? And also look, if you look at California, they count bodies, not citizen voters. You know what I mean? So they're dependent on the illegal immigrants come in so they can count bodies, to beef up their numbers, right?
Like for the census.
Right. Yeah. And it's also swinging for voting, right? Because in California, they made it illegal for you to show your ID when you vote, right?
Yeah, that's I haven't heard of that before.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, there's definitely a lot of ways that you can go about that, but that's a whole other conversation
It's
itself,
a whole other conversation,
for sure. Because, like I said, a lot of these undocumented immigrants already have ITN numbers. They pay, don't get any benefits because they're not allowed to have any benefits.
Yeah.
They're also less likely to commit crimes because of the risk of being deported.
Right.
Yeah. So, I mean, yes, we do need stricter laws when it comes to people coming in, but at the same time, we also need to make it easier for them to be able to come in cheaper, faster. There needs to be pathways that are open that way, because then we have the same problem. We have the influx of people who are coming in undocumented because they're unable to afford it.
Right.
And they just don't have the means to it.
Right.
And they choose to live here undocumented.
So that's a loophole, right? If they're considered refugees coming in, then they do have access to food stamps and WIC and different services, right?
Wouldn't that be considered doing it the legal way? If you're coming in as a refugee, you have to request it, right? You have to go through a process. They still have to do a background check and all of that. So, I mean, I understand that.
Yeah.
Yes, I think that I'm not really as knowledgeable as knowing as how much benefits they get and all that if you come in as a refugee.
Yeah. See, that was part of Ron Paul's kind of discussion about how this kind of ties in to how can we solve the problem, right? Instead of down anybody who looks Latino, how do we fix that?
Yeah. Yeah, literally, it's going through criminal records. People who have been caught up. I know that there's been cases where people who are undocumented have committed crimes and are let go. They're not immediately deported or held to be deported or anything like that. In those cases, yes, those are the people that you go after. Those are criminals, right? Those are people we don't want in our country.
Right.
But yeah, it's like you said, it's not just brown people. There's people from every race that do criminal activities.
Yeah.
There's bad seeds in every group.
Everyone, it's an interesting journey that we're on.
Yeah. Yes.
Nothing is simple, right? There's nuance in everything, but I think that's the right. Like you were talking about, I've been having these conversations,
and we should, even if we don't agree, we should.
Right. Yeah. Because everything's so social media fueled, and everybody has their own echo chamber, right? Everybody has their own analog that they're building. It's their their algorithm.
Yeah.
That they're building for themselves.
Yes.
Right. And I've experimented with that. Change your algorithm.
Yeah, it's crazy how that works, really, because I mean, I know how my algorithm works, right? It's based on the videos that I see and comment, interact with, and everything like
Yeah.
that. And then I've seen somebody had completely opposite views from what I have. I've seen their algorithm and how it works, and it's insane.
Yeah.
It's literally day and night.
Yeah.
And so our phones, social media, internet have a lot to do with what's happening in today's
Right.
world too, with that division.
Yeah.
We're not seeing both sides.
Right.
We're not.
Right. You know, and I've, being intentional, right, about that, right? So there are friends, still my friends, love them to death, right? But when they send me a video, I'm not going to watch it because that's going to infect my algorithm.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and I already know if it's coming from them, like, I just look at the, on the text message, the headline. I'm like, yeah, okay, I'm not engaging in that.
Yeah.
Because I'm allowing that into what I'm consuming.
Yeah. It's important to be intentional with what you consume.
Because once I allow that in, then for the next week, I'm going to get all kinds of other suggested videos to watch. That trash that I don't want on it.
Yeah.
Right? And it's like it's protecting, your sanity, right? Protecting, like who you are, because social media is so connected to us now, right? The next step is contact lenses, where we have social media.
Yeah, well, we have the Apple Pro, so we're almost there.
Yeah, that big version on contact lenses.
Imagine.
Right? Yeah, then I think that's when VR takes off, right? The big goggle thing that's not practical.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
It's necessary to get there, but imagine a world living in that, right?
Then
Like,
that's when we officially disconnect from
that,
the world.
I mean, it would be so hard to disconnect, and I've been doing that more and more, disconnecting.
Yeah, I feel like that's something that a lot of us go through, where we wake up scrolling,
Yes.
immediately seeing on Facebook, on new, anything like that. It's not like in the old days where, I'm gonna go get the newspaper in the front yard and see
Right.
what news is happening today.
Yeah.
This is far deeper than that.
Yeah, this is invasive.
Yeah, our phones listen to us.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, all the time.
Those random ads that pop up.
Yeah. Like, what? Yeah, I remember when that first started happening. I was, it's creepy, right? Mind blown. Like, what? Like, I wasn't even on my phone. Like, what was listening, Like, we are in the middle. It's the Matrix, right? Right. It just there's different layers of the Matrix, right? So what we're perceiving is several layers of reality. And which reality are we aligning with, right?
That's a really good way to put it.
And because behind it all is another Matrix, right?
Yeah.
And it just keeps going. It's like music, like the musical, the notes.
Yeah, there's layers.
There's layers, right? And then to the ninth, and the ninth returns back to repeat again on the next layers. It's layers, right? That's interesting because we were just talking about the year of the horse earlier, right? Well, this last one was the year of the snake, right? And so it goes on 9-year kind of cycles, right? Like from beginning to end. And so it's wild that last year, and not till February 17th is still the final, because New Year's is until February 17th, from a cosmological, is that the right cosmological perspective, right? So the snake is still shedding skin, right? So we're going through all this upheaval, both on an individual level and in a global level. It's all a mirror.
Yeah.
Because our experience is a mirror. It is literally acting out what we're projecting, right?
Yes.
So your immediate will reflect what you're projecting, and the overall will project what we're projecting.
Yeah, no,
Right?
100%. That reminds me a lot of a book that I read. I'm sure you've heard of it, The Four Agreements.
Miguel Marquez.
Miguel something. I
Yeah.
forgot his last name.
Yeah.
But
Garcia, actually.
yeah, Garcia.
Yeah, I think so.
Yes, that book. Yeah, because in the book he says, right, the Nagual that has that dream, he realizes that we're all mirrors, right? We're all light. We're all God.
Yeah.
So what we put is what we receive.
Yeah. Now that goes deep, right? Mm-hmm. You know, there's like the we are God experiencing God, right? Experiencing itself.
Yes. Yeah,
Right.
like the egg theory. Oh, there's me and you could sit here and talk about all these theories and conspiracies all
Yeah.
day.
Yeah. I think it's refreshing, right? How often do you get a chance to do that?
Yeah, not that often.
Right?
It is really refreshing.
It is, because go through day to day, just trying to figure it out. Just like, okay, what am I here for? What am I doing? Okay, let me do this, and then, okay, is this what I should be doing? We're always questioning, right? And so we tend to do, like, it says then the phones take us again, right? And now we're distracted. Can you actually sit down and like have a conversation where a part of your mind isn't somewhere else?
Yeah.
When can you be fully present?
Yeah.
And, like, we've lost a lot of that.
Yes,
Right?
and remembering that life is deeper than what we're doing here physically, especially if you do believe like in the spiritual world and God and all of that.
Yeah.
It's deeper than what we're doing in the physical world and what we're experiencing.
Oh yeah, I definitely resonate with that, right? And I think, the older I get, the more I am intentional about that, right? Because it's easy to take for granted and forget about it.
Yeah.
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 But thoughtful actions, because before that's all we had.
Yes. Now we have a phone on our face all the time.
All
and
the time.
Distractions, constant series to watch, the news, new everything all the time.
So much, right?
Yes.
So it's how intentional are you consume, right? Overall, like, what are you watching? What are you eating? What are you drinking? What are you saying?
Who are you around?
Oh, Michael used to say, show me who your friends are and I'll tell you who you are.
No, and that's so right. It's so true.
Yeah.
Who you hang out with, who you're with the majority of the time is literally a reflection of yourself, because
Yeah.
you're not going to hang with people who don't align with you or your
Right.
beliefs.
Yeah. This was back 10 plus years ago. Facebook was already a thing. And I think it was like at the peak of Facebook's ramp up, right? Where there was actually, if you had a group of 5 friends, right? 4 of you were on social media, but 1 wasn't. The algorithm could figure out, put a 5th person, and it would reflect it's that person, right? So just the algorithm can already find people who aren't on it.
Yeah. That is crazy
That's
how that works.
wild. All right. And like nail them to a T,
Yeah.
everything about them, because based on their 4 closest friends. Right. So like that's wild. Like,
That is.
that a computer program, back then was doing that.
Yeah. And
how-
imagine now.
Right. With AI,
And technology is always less than what we, the public, see.
1,000%.
AI and all of that, we're getting to see it, but they've been past that.
It's wild, right? It's wild. Well, yeah. What we're given access to. Yeah,
Literally.
it's a lot more mild, right? But yeah, because AI has been around for a while, right? Machine learning has been around a while, right? But as time goes on, it does get faster, more powerful. So, in technology, yeah, there's that's why, Area 51, right? UFOs or secret military planes, maybe both, right? It gets wild when you start to get into that, the whole aliens thing,
Yeah.
it's like, okay, they pretty much admitted it.
Yeah, no.
So it's out there. So aliens are a thing now, right?
Yeah. Like, I think that confirmation some people needed, but I feel like a lot of us already knew, because there's
Yeah.
just no way that we are the only
Right.
living
Yeah.
species in such a big galaxy. And there's more galaxies than just our Milky Way. So who knows what's out there?
There's more galaxies than there are pebbles of sand on our beaches.
Imagine that.
And if you've been to the beach, you know how much sand sticks on you when you go back to the hotel room. That's a lot of sand,
Yeah.
right?
So yeah. And then just like going back on like to acknowledge that, right? To see that, again, life is a lot more bigger than what we see in front of us or what we're dealing with. That's why it's so important to be understanding of others and be respectful and being able to see the other people's point of view and be able to listen to them. Because the world is so much bigger than what you see or you understand.
Yep. Man, I can't agree more. I can't think of a better place to end the pod.
Yeah, perfect.
Yay.
Thank you so much for having me on here.
Absolutely. I'm glad you came on. And, hope your event goes well.
Thank you.
And we're going to let the people know when you're going to have several events.
Yes.
Okay. And so how can they follow you? How can they get a hold of you?
Follow us on Common Ground on Facebook. That's currently our only page. That's where you're going to get all the details from. Make sure that you follow us on there. Stay tuned on Kiss FM. We'll be having an interview there pretty soon coming up for February's event.
Shout out Alex Shock.
Yes, shout out to DJ Alex Shock, another close friend of ours that we met at UTBB.
My Falcon Radio. Well, cool. Well, all right, Miss Itzel. All right, people. Y'all have a good one, and we'll catch you on the flip.
All right, bye.